There's a moment every single week when your chest tightens for no visible reason. No one has said anything wrong to you. Nothing bad has happened yet. But somewhere around 6 in the evening, on a day that is supposed to be restful, your stomach drops. You feel it before you even understand it. That heaviness, that quiet dread, that voice in your head whispering, tomorrow it starts again. If you have ever felt this and thought something is wrong with me for feeling this way about a single day of the week, I want you to keep listening. Because what you are about to hear will change the way you see Monday forever. And more importantly, it will change the way you see yourself. This is not going to be another video telling you to drink more water or wake up earlier. This is about what is actually happening inside your mind, long before your alarm even rings. Let's talk about Sunday evening first, because that is where this story really begins. Picture this. It is 7 o'clock. You're lying on your couch, phone in hand, scrolling without really seeing anything. The lights are dim. The house is quiet. On the surface, everything looks calm. But inside, something else is happening. A low hum of anxiety has started playing in the background of your mind. You cannot quite name it. You just feel unsettled, restless, like you are waiting for something you cannot see. Then it hits you. Tomorrow is Monday. And just like that, the weekend you are living in disappears. Not physically, emotionally. The version of you that felt light, unhurried, almost free, quietly steps aside, and a heavier version steps in to take her place. This experience has a name. Psychologists call it the Sunday Scaries. But knowing the name does not make it disappear, because underneath that name is something much deeper than a silly nickname. It is your mind preparing for a threat it believes is coming. That is reason number 1. Anticipatory anxiety. Your brain does not wait for Monday to arrive before it starts reacting to Monday. It starts reacting the moment you imagine it. This is one of the strangest and most exhausting truths about the human mind. We suffer twice, once in imagination and once in reality. And for many people, the imagined suffering is worse because it never ends. It just loops. You lie there rehearsing tomorrow's meeting before it has even happened. You imagine your boss's tone of voice. You imagine the emails piling up. You imagine the exhaustion before you have even felt tired. Your body responds as if all of it is already true. This is not weakness. This is your nervous system trying to protect you by preparing you. The problem is it prepares you by making you suffer in advance. And that is exhausting in a way most people never talk about out loud. Now let's go a little deeper, because anticipatory anxiety alone does not explain why Monday specifically feels this heavy. There is something else happening. Something about freedom. Think about what the weekend actually gives you. It is not just rest. It is choice. On Saturday morning, you decide when to wake up. You decide what to eat, who to see, whether to do anything at all. For 2 days, your time belongs to you. Then Monday arrives, and that ownership disappears. Suddenly your hours are no longer yours. They belong to a schedule, a boss, a to-do list, an inbox that refreshes faster than you can empty it. This is reason number 2. The loss of autonomy. Human beings do not just want freedom. We need it, the way we need sleep or connection. When it is taken away, even temporarily, even for good reason, something inside us resists. That resistance often does not look like resistance. It looks like heaviness. It looks like dragging your feet out of bed. It looks like a version of yourself that feels smaller than usual. You're not lazy. You are grieving something you cannot quite name. The loss of 2 days where you were allowed to simply exist as yourself, without performing, without producing, without proving anything to anyone. Pause here for a second. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you felt like your time truly belonged to you? Not borrowed time between obligations. Not stolen minutes before the next task. Actual, uninterrupted ownership of your own hours. If it has been a while, that ache you feel every Sunday night is not really about work. It is about freedom, and that distinction matters more than you think. Now let's talk about contrast, because this is where things get even more interesting. Psychologists have long understood that we do not experience emotions in isolation. We experience them in comparison. A meal tastes different depending on how hungry you were before it. A rest feels different depending on how tired you were before it. And a Monday feels different depending on what came right before it. If your weekend felt slow, warm, unhurried, then Monday feels like slamming into a wall. The contrast between soft and sharp, between open and rigid, creates a kind of emotional whiplash. This is reason number 3. The contrast effect. It is not that Monday itself is uniquely terrible. It is that Monday follows something gentler. Your mind measures the distance between those two states, and that distance is what you feel as dread. This explains something strange. People who love their jobs still often feel a version of the Monday heaviness, because it is not always about hating what's ahead. Sometimes it is simply about missing what you just had. There is a quieter, more physical reason too, one your body understands even when your mind does not. During the weekend, many people shift their sleep schedule. Staying up later, waking up later. It feels harmless, but your body operates on a rhythm, an internal clock that prefers consistency. When that rhythm shifts even by an hour or two, and then gets forced back into place on Monday morning, your body experiences something researchers now call social jet lag. This is reason number 4. Circadian disruption. You are not imagining that Mondays feel physically foggier. Your body is quite literally adjusting time zones without ever leaving your bed. That fog you feel is not laziness. It is biology asking for patience you rarely give it. Now here is where the emotional layer deepens. Monday does not just ask your body to wake up. It asks your mind to make decisions again. Immediately. Constantly. What to wear. What to answer first. Who to respond to. What to prioritize. After 2 days of relative simplicity, your brain is suddenly flooded with choices, most of them small, but all of them draining. This is reason number 5. Decision fatigue. Every decision, even a tiny one, uses a small amount of mental energy. On the weekend, this drains slowly. On Monday, it drains fast, all at once, before you have even had your coffee. That is why some days feel exhausting before anything difficult has even happened. You have not failed at anything. You have simply spent energy faster than you expected to. Now let's talk about something people rarely admit, even to themselves. Fear. Specifically, fear of being seen, fear of being judged, fear of walking into a room, a meeting, a classroom, and being evaluated in ways you cannot control. This is reason number 6. Performance anxiety tied to identity. During the weekend, you are mostly yourself, without an audience. On Monday, you step back into a role. Employee, student, manager, provider, and roles come with expectations. Expectations come with the possibility of falling short. For people who are naturally more sensitive, more self-aware, more prone to overthinking, this fear becomes louder. You do not just worry about the tasks ahead. You worry about how you will be perceived while doing them. Will I say the wrong thing? Will I disappoint someone? Will I be enough today? That question, will I be enough today, is heavier than most people realize. And it often begins forming the night before, quietly, in the dark, while everyone else seems to be sleeping peacefully. If you have ever lain awake feeling this exact fear, I want you to know something clearly. This is not a flaw in your character. This is a sign that you care deeply about the impression you leave on the world. The problem is not the caring. The problem is that no one ever taught you how to carry that care without it crushing you. Let's continue, because there is more happening beneath the surface. Reason number 7 is something psychologists call unfinished business, or in simpler words, unresolved tension. Think back to last Friday. Did you leave everything neatly finished? Or did you leave a half-written email, an unanswered message, an unresolved conflict with a coworker, a task you promised to complete but never did? Our minds do not like open loops. Anything left incomplete continues quietly occupying mental space, even when we are not consciously thinking about it. This is why Sunday night often brings sudden, unwanted memories of things you forgot to do. Your mind is not punishing you. It is simply reminding you that something remains unfinished, and Monday is when that unfinished thing must be faced again. This single reason explains why some people feel Sunday dread far more intensely after a stressful week than after a calm one. It is not really about Monday. It is about carrying something heavy from last week directly into the next one without ever getting the chance to put it down. Now here comes reason number 8, and this one tends to hit differently. Loss of identity continuity. Let me explain that gently. You are in many ways two different people throughout the week. Weekday you, who is structured, responsible, focused on obligations. And weekend you, who is softer, freer, more playful, more yourself in the quieter sense of the word. When Monday arrives, weekend you has to disappear again. Not permanently, but enough to feel like a small loss. Like putting away a version of yourself you actually liked being in order to become a version the world expects from you. This is not dramatic. This is real. Many people feel a subtle grief on Monday mornings without understanding why. It is the grief of temporarily losing access to your more authentic self in exchange for your more functional self. Pause again for a moment here. Think about which version of you shows up on weekends. The relaxed one, the curious one, the one who laughs more easily. Now think about which version shows up on Monday mornings. If those two people feel very different from each other, that gap itself might be part of your exhaustion. Reason number 9 follows closely behind this one, and it is about control, or more specifically, the lack of it. During the weekend, even if your schedule is still full, you generally choose what fills it. On Monday, your time is largely dictated by others. Meetings you did not schedule, deadlines you did not set, demands you did not create. Human beings have a deep psychological need to feel like the authors of their own lives. When that authorship is taken away, even temporarily, we experience something close to helplessness. Not extreme helplessness, but a quiet, background version of it that shows up as reluctance, resistance, or heaviness. This is why some people describe Monday not as difficult, but as suffocating. It is not the tasks themselves. It is the feeling of losing the pen that writes your own day. Now, reason number 10, and this one is uniquely modern. Comparison, fueled by the way we now spend our weekends online. Scroll through social media on a Sunday evening, and you will likely see other people's highlight reels. Their brunches, their trips, their perfectly framed happiness. Even if your weekend was genuinely good, this constant exposure to curated joy can quietly convince you that everyone else is living a fuller, freer life than you are. Then Monday arrives, and while you brace for routine, it feels like the rest of the world is still living inside that perfect weekend you just watched on a screen. This comparison deepens the emotional low, even if you cannot immediately explain why. It is not envy in a shallow sense. It is a quiet, aching reminder of everything you feel you might be missing. Now we reach the final reason, reason number 11, and this one goes deeper than psychology textbooks usually go. This one touches something almost existential. Monday is a symbol of time passing, whether you feel ready for it or not. Each Monday marks the start of another week gone. Another 7 days closer to deadlines, birthdays, endings, beginnings, and eventually the parts of life we try not to think about too directly. For people who overthink, who feel deeply, who sit quietly with big questions about meaning and purpose, Monday can feel like more than just a work day. It can feel like a small, weekly reminder that time keeps moving whether you're living the life you want or not. This is why some Mondays feel heavier than others, even when nothing dramatic is happening. Because underneath the surface tiredness, there is sometimes a quieter question echoing. Am I doing something with this time? Am I becoming who I want to be? Or am I simply repeating the same week over and over, waiting for something to change? That question is not weakness. That question is depth. Only people who care deeply about their own life ask it. Now let's step back for a moment and look at everything we have uncovered together. Anticipatory anxiety, loss of autonomy, the contrast effect, circadian disruption, decision fatigue, fear of judgment, unfinished business, loss of identity continuity, lack of control, social comparison, and finally, the quiet existential weight of time itself. 11 separate threads, but they all lead back to one single truth. Monday is not actually the enemy. Monday is simply the mirror. It reflects back to you everything you have been avoiding, postponing, are feeling all week long. Your tiredness, your unmet needs, your unspoken fears, your longing for more freedom, more rest, more meaning. Monday does not create these feelings. It simply exposes them because it is the moment your protective distractions, the weekend, the sleeping in, the scrolling, the socializing, briefly fall away. This is the twist most people never realize. You do not actually dread Monday. You dread facing yourself without the usual distractions softening the edges. Think about the people you know who struggle most on Mondays. Chances are they are not lazy people. They're often the most thoughtful, the most sensitive, the most quietly overwhelmed people you know. The ones who feel everything a little more intensely. The ones who carry invisible weight without ever complaining about it out loud. If that description feels close to home, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not broken for struggling with Mondays. You are human in a world that rarely gives humans enough time to simply breathe before demanding productivity again. This does not mean you are powerless. Understanding why something hurts is often the first real step toward softening its grip on you. When you know that Sunday night dread is anticipatory anxiety, you can gently remind yourself that your mind is imagining a worse version of tomorrow than what will actually happen. When you know that Monday heaviness is partly about lost autonomy, you can intentionally protect small pockets of ownership over your time, even during a busy week. When you know that unfinished business from last week is quietly weighing on you, you can give yourself permission to close a loop, even imperfectly, instead of carrying it forward untouched. None of this requires a dramatic life change. It simply requires honesty. Honesty about what you are actually feeling and why. So here is something gentle to carry with you. The next time Sunday evening arrives and that familiar heaviness creeps in, do not rush to distract yourself from it. Instead, sit with it for just a moment. Ask yourself quietly, what part of this feeling is really about tomorrow, and what part of it has been living inside me all week long, waiting for a quiet moment to finally be felt. You might be surprised by the answer, because sometimes the thing we call Monday dread is not really about Monday at all. Sometimes it is simply the first honest moment we have given ourselves all week. And that honesty, uncomfortable as it feels, is not something to fear. It is something to thank yourself for. You made it through another week. You are still here, still trying, still feeling deeply in a world that often asks people to feel less. That alone deserves acknowledgement, even if no one else has said it to you today. So let this be that acknowledgement. You're doing better than you think you are. And Monday, as heavy as it may feel, is not proof of your weakness. It is simply proof that you are paying attention to your own life, closely enough to notice when something inside it needs care. If this video helped you feel a little more understood today, that matters more than you know. Consider subscribing, so future videos like this one can find you exactly when you need them. Leave a comment below and tell me which of these 11 reasons hit closest to home for you. Give this video a like if it made you feel seen, even for a moment. And if you know someone who has ever felt that quiet Sunday night heaviness, share this with them. They might need to hear that they are not alone in feeling this way. You're not the only one who feels this. And now, you understand a little more about why.